Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, the best place for women who are ready to take control of their finances while having less stress on their shoulders and more money in their bank accounts. If you look back to my past videos, you'll probably notice most of them were makeup related, and as you can hear by the intro, this channel is taking quite a different turn, which I will explain in the video as well. But I figured, since this is my first video back on this channel in years, that we just start with a get ready with me while I'm talking about money. So makeup and money, if you will. I feel like I might call it that. Is that corny? I don't think it's corny. I think it's kind of cute. So I did a poll on my Instagram. If you're not following me on there, I will pop it up somewhere or leave it down below. Maybe both. So if you're not following me and you're into personal finance, money management, or you just need some tips and tricks on how to reach your financial goals, go ahead and follow me over there. But like I said, I did a poll on my Instagram on what you guys wanted to see first, and majority vote was for debt payoff. So basically, I'm gonna be getting ready while talking about my tips and tricks for paying off debt and how I personally paid off my debt as well. So let's get into it. So I'll probably be looking a little bit over to this way because that's where my mirror is at. Let me just move it towards the camera more. All right, I don't think that's that bad. So I do have my foundation on already because this is the second time I've tried to start filming this video. And I won't really be talking about the makeup that I'm putting on because it's more about the finance and money aspect, but I will leave it all down below. But if you are wondering, since I've already used it and you won't see me use it, this is the foundation that I use, the Hourglass Vanish foundation. It's also an awkward angle because the table's here and like it's hard for me to move my arm. But you know, we're working with it. We're working with it. And I know the background is still trash, so you know, I'll fix that at a later time. So my first tip when it comes to paying off your debt is to pay off your highest interest rate debt first. Why, you may ask? Because that is the debt that is costing you the most money, girl. If you have not checked your interest rates for your credit cards, pause this video and go check them right now. Because I guarantee you they are probably on the high side. Credit card debt is probably the debt that you want to have the least of. Honestly, ideally, you should have no credit card debt because that can tend to be the hardest to pay off because like I said, it has the highest interest rates, which means it will cost you the most money. I feel like a lot of people don't know what their interest rates are and tend not to check, but that is super, super important because you can end up paying so much more money than what you actually spent on that credit card. Like, I'm telling you, your mind will be blown if you do the calculations and you see how much that credit card is actually costing you. You know what, let's do some calculations. Let's do some calculations right now just so I can show you guys how much money you could potentially be throwing away by paying only the minimum payment on your credit card and not getting that bad boy paid off. All right, so let's say you have a balance of $5,000 on a credit card. The interest rate's about 18%. I would say that's pretty average. Some are even higher, like in the 20s, which is cray. And that you're paying like $100 a month. I don't know what the exact minimum payment would be, but let's just pretend that $100 a month is the minimum payment. So if you continue just to make that minimum payment on that $5,000 balance with that 18% interest rate, you would end up paying an additional $4,311 in interest only, right? So instead of just paying back that $5,000, you would be paying back a total of $9,311. Oh, and it would take you 94 months to pay off. 94. That's like almost 8 years, right? Yes, that's like almost 8 years. And to be realistic, this is if you spend no more money on that credit card and just pay it off, which majority of people don't do. So if you're continuing to use the credit card and also continuing just to make the minimum payment, you could be paying off that card for ever. I know that sounds dramatic, but like think about it. It's true. And that, my friend, is why it's important to pay off your highest interest rate debt first and ideally eliminate your credit card debt completely. Now, some options that you have to actually get your debt paid off. Let's say you have like 5 credit cards. Of course, you can just make payments to those 5 credit cards every month separately until they're paid off. Or, and this is especially helpful if you do have a decent amount of credit card debt and it is at a higher interest rate, is to refinance it into something else. So what does that even mean? So all refinancing is taking all of your credit cards and paying them off with a different product, well, a separate product that will help you save money. So for example, you can either apply for what's called a debt consolidation loan, And at that point, you would be able to essentially pay off all of your credit cards with that loan. Ideally, that loan would be at a lower interest rate than you have on your credit card, so it would save you money. And then on top of that, you'd only have to make one payment instead of 5 if you had 5 credit cards that you needed to pay off. So it'll make things more convenient and it'll also save you money. And you also can't spend more on a loan, if that makes sense. It is not revolving. So unlike a credit card where if you pay it off, that balance gets freed up and you can spend it again, on a loan, you cannot do that. So that eliminates the temptation. And honestly, if you feel like you will spend your credit cards, if you have them, after you pay them off, just cut them up and throw them away. You don't have to close the credit accounts. Actually, don't close the credit accounts because that could lower your credit score. But not having the physical card will really help with spending because you would have to call your bank, order the card, wait for the card to come, activate it, and then start to spend it. So if you see something on Amazon or if you see something in the store that you want to buy real quick, you won't be able to do it. So it will completely eliminate your impulse buying with your credit card anyway. All right, so getting back to the first way that you can pay your credit cards off. And I feel like this is a good idea if you only have like 1 or 2 credit cards to just make more than the minimum payment on those if refinancing doesn't work for you. Let's actually do another calculation so I can show you how much money you would actually save if you made more than the minimum payment on that same scenario that we just calculated. Let's say you made a payment of $100 a week instead of $100 a month. So that would essentially be like $400 a month. Same scenario, $500 balance, 18% interest rate. So instead of paying over $4,000 in interest alone, you would only be paying $578 in interest. And you would save yourself around $4,000. Oh, and it would also only take you 14 months to pay off. The more you know. So essentially, if there are things that you just need to cut out of your budget for 14 months to save that much money in interest, because guys, when you're paying interest, you're essentially just like throwing money away. So like I said, if you just need to take a season, like take a time period like this 14-month example, and really just use your baseline budget, which is pretty much your essentials budget. So just like your bills and things you absolutely need, like food, toilet paper, you know, things like that, and just do that just for 14 months and then have an additional $400 back in your pocket after that, I'm sold. I don't know about you, but I'm sold. 14 months, just 14 months to completely eliminate that bill, never think about it again, cut the credit card up and throw it in the trash. And honestly, that's always how I paid off my debt. I used to have credit card debt. I don't anymore, but I did a couple years back. And I would always spend like $2,000 on my credit card, but then make really aggressive payments to pay it off. It's still not ideal because I was still spending on the credit card and I was still carrying a balance a lot of the time, which means I was paying interest, but I still never made just the minimum payment, so that way the balance got paid off faster. I should have just stopped using the credit card. That actually brings me to something else that I wanted to talk about, because at this point you might be like, well, who the hell are you to be telling me about money? Well, let me tell you. My background is actually in personal finance and banking. I worked in that field for about 9 years, and then about 2 years back, like maybe 2.5 years at this point, I got laid off along with everybody else that worked where I worked. But my main job there was to teach other people about personal finance and banking. I started with teaching customers how to manage their money, and I'm talking customers that had $500 in the bank up to customers who had $5 million in the bank. No exaggeration. And then when I got laid off, I was like, oh crap, what do I do now? And then I quickly realized that even though I was implementing some of the things that I was teaching other people and knew that I should be doing as well, I wasn't implementing all of them, especially to the level that I should have. So for example, I didn't have enough money in the bank to cover 6 months worth of expenses. I didn't even have enough money in the bank to cover 3 months worth of expenses. I had like $2,000 in the bank. I had a good 1 month until I was completely, you know, all my money's gone. I had credit card debt, like I said, probably like $2,000 of credit card debt too. And I didn't have any backup plan. So that's when I decided, well, let me start really practicing what I'm preaching and, you know, get my shit together pretty much. So since then, after taking my own advice, essentially, I've been able to pay off my credit card debt and just eliminate that. So like I don't have credit card debt. I haven't had credit card debt since I paid it off for the last time, and I do not plan on having any more credit card debt. I've also saved so much money, well over 6 months worth of expenses actually. Trying to talk and do eyebrows is not the easiest thing in the world, let me tell you. All right, it's as good as we're gonna get. I've also been able to maintain a credit score over 800. Credit is so important. I know you guys know this. I know you already know how important credit is. You need credit for basically everything. When it comes to buying a house, when it comes to buying a car, even when it comes to, you know, signing up for like a cell phone plan and not having to pay some ridiculous like down payment or whatever the hell they call it. And I've also started investing, which completely intimidated me before. I was completely clueless. And I was like, well, investing is just for rich people and I'm not rich, so I guess that's not for me. Wrong, super wrong, actually. And investing isn't even that hard. I've already seen returns on my investments, and because I was able to save so much money, I actually invested in another business that is making me money pretty passively. If you guys want to know more about that whole thing, I can explain that in a separate video, but that's a whole story in and of itself. In of itself? A whole story in and of it. What is that saying? In and of itself. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. Sorry if you didn't care about any of that stuff, but I just thought that I might want to know, you know, why someone is qualified to give me financial advice if I'm listening to them on the internet. So anyway, that whole thing as far as my career and my personal journey and transformation is what led me to become a financial fitness coach for women, and that is where I'm currently at. I realized that there is a huge gap as far as financial education and resources for women specifically, and I want to fill that gap because I'm passionate about women being able to use money as a tool to create the life that they want, and to really believe that that is possible, because it is possible for all of us to create the lives that we want, live the lives that we want, live our most fulfilled and happy life. And yes, you kind of need money for that. I don't know why people think money is so like icky. It's just money. It's currency. You use it to pay for shit. And it is necessary to live. You need to pay your bills. You need to have a roof over your head. You need to have food in your fridge and your cabinets. And besides that, I want you to be able to do what you actually want to do too. So if you want to go on a vacation with your girlfriends, I want you to be able to do that. If you want to take your kids to Disney World, I want you to be able to do that. If you just want the peace of mind and security that you don't have to worry in between paychecks if you're gonna have enough money for bills, like that is huge. I don't know about you guys, but having to live with such stress caused by money, that's not a happy life to me. And then just being able to have generational wealth for your kids, to set them up for a more successful future, that's also a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But money is not a bad thing. And you're not greedy or selfish if you care about money. Listen, we only have one time here, right? Like, you know what I mean, right? Like on this planet, we all should make it our mission to live the happiest life possible. Like that should be the main goal. That should be everybody's main goal on this planet, is to live the happiest, most fulfilling, best life possible. Like why wouldn't it be? What else are we here for? And when you learn and implement how to make money work for you, instead of money being such a burden, it honestly changes your life. And I can say that because I was making more money when I was working in my corporate job, and because I changed my money habits, I have never been more secure and fulfilled and happy, honestly. So if you think it matters how much money you make, it doesn't. It actually matters a lot more about how you manage it. I mean, we've all heard those stories of, you know, the rich and famous people who had millions of dollars and then just spent it all and then went bankrupt. Yeah, it's because they weren't managing their money right and they had nobody telling them how to. So yeah, that was my long-winded explanation as to why this channel is now going to be all about financial fitness, personal finance, specifically for women, because I want to be a tool and resource for you to get the information that you need to live your best life, girl, because you can. I feel like this video is all over the place, but you know, it's my first one, so give me a break. First one in years. And something else that's really important when it comes to your personal finance journey is truly believing that you can make a change. Because if you think, I'm always gonna be broke, I'm always gonna be in debt, then yes you are. Whatever we tell ourselves becomes our reality. And I promise you, it's not like a woo-woo thing. It is real. It is proven. When we continue to tell ourselves something, our brain then looks for examples to reinforce what we are telling ourselves. So if you're always telling yourself you're broke and you can't afford things and you'll never be able to pay off your debt, your brain will specifically look for things that proves you right. So you may get pulled over one day, for example, and get a ticket. Maybe your ticket's like 50 bucks or something, maybe like 100. And the whole time you're gonna be thinking, wow, see, this kind of stuff always happens to me. This is why I can never get ahead. This is why I can't save money. This is why I can't pay off my debt, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, completely ignoring the fact that you were actually driving back from Target when you went in to get deodorant and shampoo and then came out with $200 worth of items. Weren't thinking about that, huh? So yeah, mindset's honestly everything when it comes to all aspects of life, pretty much. And I can talk about all that in another video too. But you really, really have to believe that you can do it, or else you're not gonna reach your goals if you don't believe that you can. And I know that you can. So start believing in yourself, like I believe in you. All right. All right, so we are done doing our makeup. This is like the simplest look ever, but like I said, this isn't really about the makeup, it's about the money. Just to recap my debt payoff tips. 1, know your numbers. So go to your bank account, go to your bank statements, sign into your online banking, check to see how much interest you are paying on those credit cards. And then choose the one with the highest interest rate to focus on and pay off first. Number 2, always make more than the minimum payment, girl. Or else you'll be paying an extra $4,311 and taking almost 8 years to pay off your $5,000 worth of debt. Also, you can look into options for refinancing at a lower interest rate and only having to make 1 payment instead of 5 or however many credit cards you currently have. Again, I would highly suggest looking into that online calculator. All you have to do is Google credit card payoff calculator and there's a whole bunch of them. I use the one from Bankrate, and then you'll be able to see how much money you are wasting by not paying that credit card off. And then my last tip was, once you pay off those credit cards or once you refinance those credit cards, if you feel like you will start spending again, cut those credit cards up and throw them in the trash. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys about the other option for refinancing. So I talked to you guys about the loan option, but you can also refinance credit cards with another credit card. Yes, it sounds crazy, let me explain. So yes, this would consist of applying for a brand new credit card. So yes, adding an additional credit card to your credit card list and then paying off all of the credit cards that you have balances on with your new credit card. This would only work and only make sense if you have an introductory offer for 0 interest for X amount of time. You would just need to make sure that you are able to pay off that credit card in the amount of time that you have 0 interest, or else you'll just start paying interest on that brand new credit card again. So make sure you do the calculations. You can use the Bankrate calculator to do that as well. And there usually is some type of balance transfer fee. It's usually like 3% or something like that, but that far outweighs how much money you would be spending if you did not pay that credit card off. All right, so I think that's all I have for now. Let me know any video topics that you want to see related to personal finance and money management down below, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys in the next video.